Paul, we'll start with your fresh doubts from the other night for the weekend. Have you got any at all?
Erico is certainly a doubt with having to come off with that injury. He can weight bear. Some of the swelling's gone down, so that's a positive, but I'm assuming it'll probably come a bit too soon for him. We're hoping it's nothing too serious. Indications as we speak now are that he'll be okay, but like I say, I think Saturday will be too soon.
Can you remind us of the injury, please?
It was a kick, an impact. It wasn't a great tackle, but we thought he'd rode it slightly, but got up, came back on, and then kind of felt it straight away. So just more an impact one, but just above the ankle. So fingers crossed, better than it actually being on his ankle.
Has he had a scan on that?
No, we don't at this stage. We don't feel that that's required. It's just more one that'll just take a little bit of time.
Okay, so Michi Fete, of course, suspended for this weekend.
Yeah.
Have you had the opportunity to have a look back at the video, because you were due to maybe look at that again?
Yeah, look, we've had a conversation. It was clearly a wrong decision made, and now it cost us on the night, or potential to get back in the game, and cost us and him moving forward in terms of we losing for 3 games now.
Which affects, of course, your right side, doesn't it?
Yeah.
What are your options then with regards to obviously being without Erico and now Michi?
The most obvious ones are Ryan Sears and Harry Clifton. We trained today, and I'll make a sort of decision on the team. Probably go through some shape tomorrow ahead of the game.
Ryan's not featured, has he, so far?
No.
How's he been?
I think it's took him a little time to settle in. It's the first time he's been away from home, and while that might sound a bit sort of soft, if you like, it affects people differently. And I think he's an individual that isn't, I guess, what some people might think, that everyone's full of confidence. I think he needs to, has needed that time to just get himself in. Fits in well with the group, but in terms of his confidence out on the pitch, so I think that's starting to come through now. So he's had to be patient, because Michi has done well, but if he gets the nod, then obviously it's a good opportunity for him.
Has he been patient, or has he been knocking on your door?
No, I think he fully understands. We've had a couple of chats, but they're done in the right manner. More about what do I feel he needs to be doing, where can he improve, things like that, rather than, I think he's realistic. He's seen how the team's done and how, like I said, Michi's done. So he's understood the position, and with only having the 5 subs and the way that I've gone, it's just meant that he hasn't been involved. But again, that does not mean that he's been sort of out of sight and out of mind. Far from that.
How does he compare to Michi then as a player?
Again, physically he's strong. He can compete aerially again. Probably not as forward thinking, but I've got no sort of doubts that he can come in and do a good job for us if called upon.
Okay. Are you thinking about changes elsewhere in your team other than the enforced ones?
I think you just have to be careful to make too many changes, but I kind of had an idea in my mind sort of prior to the game in terms of some selections that I made. So yeah, there might be 1 or 2 more, but again, it's trying to, if we haven't got Erico, it can maybe leave us sort of a little bit light in the wider area, so that's something to consider.
Could Linnell start? Is he ready to start a game if you need him?
No, I don't think he is, if we're being totally truthful. I think he's still a bit off, but each time he trains, as he's done today, and a bit of running afterwards, hopefully that's a step closer to him being in that position. But it's difficult at the minute because we've got the games, and they've been coming thick and fast, to have the time to really work, and maybe work to a point where it would then mean he's not quite ready for a day or 2. We haven't got that luxury at the minute, so it's more just trying to make sure that he's available to us, and tiny bits of work that we can do in between times.
Any movement in or out before the weekend?
No, No, I was just checking on the outs map more than the ins. I know there's not an in happening. As we are, obviously the 3 lads went out last week, so I don't think we've really got much room in terms of that. No sort of real plans on anyone else leaving at this stage.
And when we spoke at the start of the week, you mentioned the potential of looking at a striker. What happened with that?
Very much where it was. No decision made on that, rightly or wrongly. That's the way that I'm going, and we'll kind of get through Saturday again and have a look at and maybe make some more calls on it to see if anything does happen, or if we feel that there's a real need to, in terms of how we come through the game fitness wise.
How did Tuesday night leave you feeling?
Naturally disappointed on the evening, but you know what I would say is I wasn't overly disappointed with the performance. I think on the night a few things went against us, which can happen, and you still have to try and deal with those. The first shot was a deflection. The change in the weather kind of was in Bromley's favour. Losing Erico, I think, just affected us slightly. I had to move John and Ryan coming on. Just lost a bit of threat in terms of how we were trying to play. And then one that was self-inflicted was obviously Nish's poor decision. So a couple of things, like I said, went against us. But overall, I thought performance-wise was certainly better than Maidenhead, in my view. You just don't always see that reflected fully with scorelines. I've said that before. Sometimes when you win, you're not as happy. Might be a game you lose where you're actually happier. Ultimately, we want 3 points, and that's what it's about. But got to try and remain objective about things, balanced, and also I think we've had a fantastic start to the season overall. So if we can, the sort of ask now is, can we get on another run if possible? That's what we'd like to do, because if we could do replicate anything like what we've done so far, then you're going to be in with a great chance of either winning the league or certainly being in a good playoff spot. So we take that. It's just because of the last 2 hours it's kind of played out of those games, not being as good as the other results, but hopeful that we can shake that off. It's again a bit of a challenge for the players with this group because it had almost gone too well, and as an older, cynical manager, you know what's around the corner and kind of maybe a little bit more expecting it than what the players are. So
how have they dealt with it then?
They seem okay today, and we had a meeting with them this morning just to spell a few things out in terms of a little bit of what we've discussed really. In general, just not to see anyone sulking around the place. Be upbeat, be disappointed as they were, and you can tell that. But now that's gone. What can we change? Well, we can try and affect that Saturday. Whatever we do and talk about from Tuesday, we can learn a few things, but it doesn't change the result. Saturday we can have hopefully have a big influence on the outcome.
You want to go on another run, you've stated that there. What would you say the prospects are of you getting off to a winning start at the beginning of a new run against Dover?
I think we have to say we've got a good chance. If you look at Dover's results, not league position, because I think that's in terms of the points off, and I know they still would be down there, but they have had some good results. They've drawn against Solihull, which was not a bad result at all, and El Chesterfield to a 0-0 draw. If you look at the results, I think with the exception of the Eastleigh game, there's only been 1 goal difference in all those games. So it's kind of a message of, yes, there's an opportunity there, but only if you earn it. Don't turn up thinking, or looking at the league table and having that in your mind, or thinking that it's going to be an easy afternoon, because I'm sure it won't be. Andy and Tyler as a player had a lot of fight, a lot of grit and determination. I'm sure he demands the same from his players now, and they're in a real battle right from the off. But I've been involved in a team that's had that situation, and I know how that can sort of galvanise the group. So we've got to make sure that we do our jobs properly to try and, like I said, get the victory. Certainly give ourselves the best chance of doing so.